Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is David and I'm sitting here in the cafe office looking out the window. It's such a pretty day today. Thought I'd do a video about how to winterize your RV because I've never lived in one before I came here, and I just thought it'd be helpful or valuable to people that actually are going to live in them long term. We got a lot of wind that blows through here. It's not a real rough winter, but people at North probably laugh at me. But anyway, I thought I would do a video about that today, and hopefully this helps someone. And if it does, and if you like this video, please comment or feel free to leave more suggestions in there that I might have left out. If you want me to make more videos like these, then I'd be glad to do that. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Glad. Well, hey y'all, welcome back to Farm Chat. I'm David, coming to you from the ranch today, and we're talking about how to live full time in your RV through the winter without freezing your pipes and your toes off. If you're like me, and I've never lived in an RV before I came out here, taking care of animals and cooking and living in an RV and having to walk across the icy parking lots and things like that. Winter can sneak up real fast here. It's already October. This is a perfect time while it's still warm to go ahead and get some of those real world things in place. Your water running, keep your sanity during the winter time. The first winter I ever moved out here, I'd never lived in an RV like I said before, so it was kind of rough, but you learn those things, especially when you live on a place for a few years and you see how the weather comes and goes. We don't get a lot of snow here, but we get a lot of ice if it's a rainy season. And usually it is, but it passes fast and it melts and then it turns into more ice, and you'll have 4 or 5 days like that, and then it gets warm again. So I would say step one is to make sure that insulation and skirting around the RV in some sort of way is done. If you start from the bottom, literally, it's the first line of defense. The foam boards, the hay bales, plywood, they even sell those blow-up insulators, but you've got to do what you got to do. Use it to block that wind that's blowing under your RV. That trapped air under the rig works like a blanket and keeps your tanks and your floors and your water lines from freezing solid, and that did happen to me for the first year. Thank goodness that I have another place to go take a shower here. We do have bathhouses on the property, so I was doing that during those really cold days, but even walking in that is really cold for us Texans. So I would say just make sure it's somehow skirted and you're protecting the undercarriage of your RV. Step number 2 would probably be the water hose, is probably what I would look at next. The water hose is the weakest link, in the winter time. If you don't have a heated hose and you don't have that wrapped in foam or pipe insulation in a little heat tape or something like that, they even sell the hose heaters that you can plug into your box outside your RV. But you want to have something wrapped around your hoses that go from your water line to your RV, because if the wind, like it is out here, blows, it's going to freeze it in a matter of no time. And don't let it lie flat on the ground either. Prop it up with boards and bricks, and if it's going to dip below zero, go ahead and disconnect it and use stored water instead, so that you don't have to worry about it. You want to make sure, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, backup supplies and tools, but that water line is going to keep you with water in the RV. You'll be able to take a shower, you'll be able to wash dishes, you'll be able to do the things that you need to do to feed your animals and water your animals. I would say that's really important. Number 3, I'd probably say the freshwater tank, or on the bottom of your RV. If you've got a heated underbelly, you don't really have to worry about it, but it's time to flip that switch. come time for the winter, especially if it drops below freezing a few nights in a row, or if it's definitely going to go below 20 degrees. If not, you can insulate around the tank with like a Reflectix or foam boards, or even build a box. I know somebody that did that around that tank. A small ceramic heater nearby, especially if you have it skirted with ventilation, can help on those extra cold nights. When that water tank freezes, it takes a long time for it to thaw out, so you want to make sure that you have it protected, drained, and warmed up. And step 4 probably would be your water heater. There's different types of water heaters. The tankless water heater, which I have, you don't want to pour antifreeze in it, that'll ruin it. But if you drain it and you're not using it, or insulate the compartment, if you are using one of those tankless ones, you want to wrap it with that foam or Reflectix or insulation, but keep the vents open. If the temps get below 0 or 20 degrees, and we do get those here, a little safe heat like a low watt bulb or a reptile heater pad or something can make a difference in those areas where the tankless water heater are. They're usually under the sink or on the outside in a compartment, so just keep an eye on it. You don't want anything to burn up, but you do want to keep that warm so that you have hot water coming through that whenever you need it. I would say step number 5 is to keep the toilet working. That's one thing that froze up on me the last 2 years. And a frozen toilet's nobody's friend, trust me. If you pour a little bit of that pink RV antifreeze in the bowl before bedtime, I learned this helps to keep the seal from freezing. Then as long as you flush the water out of it, and it keeps that seal from freezing, and just let it sit there overnight. If you let your RV heat reach those pipes and don't let water sit too long in the bowl when it's cold, you'll be okay. And it also goes into that tank. So you don't want to leave your tanks open. And that's probably step number 6, protect the black tank for full-time winter living. If you're going to live in it during the times when it freezes over. This is probably a big one for us full-timers, keeping a few inches of liquid in your black tank at all times and never leave the valve open. This prevents smells, and it prevents it from backing up. You want to wait until it's about 2/3 full, then dump it all at once, because that keeps the solids from freezing and stacking up. And when it's cold or it's frozen, it won't disperse it into the sewer line. So if you're putting a little bit of the RV antifreeze in your toilet at night to keep the seal open and clean, and you're flushing that every day, and then you're putting some of that RV antifreeze into your tank, so it keeps that a little bit from freezing up as well. So you want to wait until it's about 2/3 full, then dump it all at once. And like I said, if your RV's got tank heaters, turn them on. If not, a little insulation, some RV skirting, those things go a long way. Dump it in the warmest part of the day, rinse, and add a splash of antifreeze back in just for good measure, and that'll keep your tank from freezing up, because you do not want your tank to split, because it'll start leaking in the springtime. I would say number 7, which I learned this last year, you got to seal your slide outs in your windows, especially in an RV. It's just like living in a van or a car or something like that, which people do that. Cold air, it sneaks in everywhere. Your door is right to your living room when you open your RV, so the cold air comes in. You want to condition your slide seals, add some weather stripping and line to your windows. Again, Reflectix tapes work good, or real heavy curtains. And seriously, you'll be amazed at how much warmer it feels inside your RV. But if you can even take pool noodles and kind of stuff in between the cracks around your slide outs, and then it helps the wind from coming in. And so that's number 7. Number 8, I would probably say, is something that I learned the first year I was here too. The roof vents, the AC vents, and things like that in your RV. The vents are great for airflow, but in the winter they can leak into the drafts into your RV and keep it cold in there. Unless you have a heater going full time, even when you're not there, it's going to just get cold when you come back, and then it'll freeze up your pipes and do things like that. So add vent covers so you can still breathe in fresh air, and plug a foam vent insert, or something to hold in the heat. Some of those RVs, they have round pop-off vents. You can stick some foam up in there, or just a towel, or just for the winter time, and then you can take it out in the springtime. But that will keep that cold, drafty air from coming in through your AC vents, because you want to keep a fan or something going like that, but you don't want to keep your AC going during the winter time. Mostly you'll be using your heat. So that's a tip I learned. Number 9 is the condensation. You need to manage that condensation when you cook or you shower, and all that moisture is going to build up. Crack a vent, or just leave one of the vents open in an area that you don't use a lot. Run a dehumidifier, or keep some damper it around. I just keep a fan going on low, pointed at the back wall, and then just keep my ceramic heaters or my auto heaters on. Tractor Supply sells those. Farm stores sell those, so they can be picked up, and they'll come on when it gets below a certain temperature, but it'll keep it warm in there, and that keeps that air flowing. So you don't want condensation, especially in the wintertime, because it'll build mold up, and then come springtime you'll have to treat for mold. You can wipe down windows and walls every few days. That'll stop mold before it starts, but you want to try to prevent these things before they actually happen, because it's, especially in the wintertime, got enough going on around that you want to stay warm, not live in mold and things like that. So that's number 9. Number 10, I would say, is you want to keep everything cozy and safe. I like to mix it up a little. I have electric heater. I keep propane for showering and warm showers and dishes and things. I keep rugs on the floor. I don't keep them in the summertime because I don't need them. But in the wintertime, I'll keep rugs on the floor. I keep the curtains closed tight, and also have the blinds that help protect a little bit. And then, sealing around those vents and those pull-outs and the windows, that helps so much. And make sure that your carbon monoxide detector's working properly, especially going into winter. Propane heat's great, but safety's the real comfort. So you want to make sure that is working properly, so your animals or you don't have any mishaps along the way. Number 11 would probably be planning for food storage. Your fridge might run too cold in freezing weather, and mine did that. So keep an eye on it. Maybe turn it down a little bit. You're out in the elements, so it's not like you're living in a brick home. Turn your refrigerator down a little bit so that your food don't freeze in the wintertime. That's something I learned the second year I was here. I've always done this, which is stock up on canned goods, soups, and easy meals that you can cook, crock pot meals, chili, things that are easy to cook. And then just throw some bread in there, some crackers or cornbread or whatever you want to eat with that. Those are really good, solid meals for the winter time. And I always keep my pantry stocked full of soups and things, because I love soups in the winter anyway. You want to store everything in sealed bins, keep out the moisture and the mice. If you have mice, we don't really have mice out here on that area. But critters are smart, and you just got to prepare for those things if you do have them. Number 12 would be keep up backup water in your RV somewhere. If your lines freeze up, you don't have any water handy, then you don't have any water to feed your animals, yourself, or do dishes or whatever. if your hose freezes, you'll still be able to cook, clean, and keep the animals happy if you do have some water. So I would probably say keep, 4 or 5 gallons of water somewhere in your RV, stored inside an insulated box so it doesn't freeze solid like everything else. But that has happened here before, and it's nothing like it's freezing outside and below zero, and then you've got to go up and walk or drive or get out and then go take a shower and then get back out in the cold and then drive back home, and then you're in a cold space. And sometimes the electricity goes out. So, if you keep backup water, that's something that everybody should always know anyway, living in an RV. Just keep a little backup of those food and water, and you'll be fine. 13, I'd probably say, and I did learn this because I fell flat on my face, but the icy steps issue in RVs. RV steps turn into ice really quick. You can use or tape onto your steps those slip resistant things, but they work to a certain point until the ice melts, and then the whole thing becomes ice. But if you have pets, this is what I would suggest doing, is just sprinkle some pet safe ice melt or sand on them, or use rubber mats on them temporarily until the ice passes. Keep a little shovel and a broom by the door, which I do now. Trust me, you'll thank yourself that first icy morning when you're having to go outside and holding on for dear life to every rail you can hold on to, and it gets icy here. So I'm just saying, I would say my bonus tips is to make sure you've got 2 full propane tanks and rotate them, and at least start with that amount, so that you're not having to run to the store to get propane to stay warm. Keep some small electric space heaters around. I buy 2 of them. Keep 2 of them all the time in my RV, one in the bedroom and one in the living room area, and they come on and off as the temperature rises and falls, so it's not something that you have to watch constantly. But I would say keep 2 heaters and 2 propane tanks just in case, so you're not having to go out into the storms. There are times here to where you can't drive on the road because it's so icy, or you can't even get up a hill because it's so icy. And we live on a kind of a hill from the main road that goes down, and there's ponds and stuff at the back of the property. And if you can't get out, you're going to have to go stay somewhere else, like in the motel or in a cabin or something here, to be able to stay warm. So that's important. Keep an electric heater and 2 of those propane things. I would say make sure that you have some of those extra blankets, or an electric blanket for your bed if you like to be really warm, because that'll help keep you from getting a cold or getting too cold or getting pneumonia or something during the winter time. And then also if you do have pets, which I do, keep a heated mat inside your pet's box or their little dog house or cat house. They like that too. They like to be warm too. As far as the rest of the animals go, they're used to living in the elements, and I do winterize the barn in a different way. I might do a video about that later on, but this is mainly for people and keeping you safe and keeping everybody else safe, because there's so many ways that people can get sick, or they can hurt themselves if they're not used to living in an RV or on a ranch like this. Keep some boots handy, especially out here, tracking slush inside. Keep some boots handy. Just put them in the side of your RV in one of the storage units. That I learned the first year too, because we have a lot of sand out here and a lot of clay out here, and then the gravel on top of that. And then probably for power outages, because we do have them when it gets really bad or the weather gets really, really cold. We may have power outages intermittently or for a day or so. You want to keep a flashlight, a lantern. I try to give lanterns out for the season as Christmas gifts to the RV guests, which I did last year, so that everybody will have a flashlight, or a backup battery. If you have a generator, great. I don't, but if you do, you can save your food and pipes and things like that, just to help you through the storm or overnight or however long the storm may last. So I hope that made sense. There you go, 13 world tips for surviving and thriving in your RV all winter long here at the ranch. You know, living this way ain't always easy, but with a little planning and doing it now while it's warm, it's rewarding during the winter time. So hope everybody enjoyed this. Stay warm out there, and remember, we don't just survive out here in winter, we outsmart it. Thanks for watching Farm Chat, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.